All right, hello everyone. We're here at Moonwake headquarters today, where we'll be doing another commercial espresso machine review. This time we have the lovely Synesso S200 with us. This is the new refreshed version for 2025. We've been using it for a lot of different pop-ups and farmers market for a while, and we have it stationed in here, and we're going to be showing you all of its features and the stuff we really like about it, and some feedback as well. So yeah, I'm joined with Mabel, who's been doing all the pop-ups and farmers markets with us together, and she's gotten just as much use out of it as I have, and has a lot of opinions to share.
Cool. And just as a reminder, this is actually part of our series where we have been reviewing some other commercial espresso machines in the past in partnership with Voltage Coffee Supply. So shout out to Voltage for sending us this machine to review, and also for those prospective commercial espresso machine buyers or owners. Hopefully that this is insightful or give you some experience or a preview of this machine before you make a really, really big purchasing decision. So we hope this is helpful, and we'll get to the review.
All right, so first, some basic information about this machine. This is part of the S series at Synesso, originally launched, I believe, at the SCA Expo in 2018. But this is a new refreshed version for 2025, and it has a couple of updates to it. Some of it's software, a lot of it's hardware too. This drip tray is now removable, which is really cool, and all the ports are nicely organized, so there's only one drain hose leading out the back. Yeah, and some nice features like auto back flushing and a little bit more venting on the sides. But overall, it's their compact line of machines, and it's their entry level. So it is a really exciting one for people wanting to get into specialty coffee and want a really reliable workhorse that's also super accurate and well dialed for lighter roasted coffees. And this is kind of the other end of the spectrum, because last time we reviewed the MVP Hydra, which is kind of their most high-end machine, most technically capable. But this is a really solid entry-level package that they have. And yeah, with that, we'll go into some of the features.
So now we're going to talk about the look and feel of this machine. You can kind of see already it's pretty compact in terms of the height of the machine itself. That's been actually a positive point for our baristas, is to be able to see above it, and also a pretty big work surface in case you want to put like warming cups, or if you want to prepare, for instance, you've got drinks that just need shots or steaming. So this is a pretty wide work area, which is pretty nice. There's these mats underneath here, but it just keeps things nice and open and nice and clear there. So there's also this lever to pull shots. It's got a really nice lever actuation, and you can pull two different shot types. So depending if you want to pull it to the left, you can pull it one profile, and then you can also pull it to the right, and it pulls a different profile as well. So you have two different options there, which is pretty nice depending on how many coffees you decide to serve in your service. The other thing that's nice is it's overall just a very clean look. You see there's not a lot of extra dials or buttons. Some of the gauges are pretty straightforward and simple. The shot timers are very obvious. There's no additional numbers. It's literally just the time and then what profile it's on. The really interesting thing to call out, shout out to those, gamers, there's these arcade buttons, which depending on how you feel, may or may not be, may not feel as tactile compared to some other buttons out there, but that's the choice that Synesso decided here with these buttons here. The other thing to call out too is the steam wand as well. There's got this paddle. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But overall, it's a very sleek, very clean look, very minimal, like crazy edges or angles. So if you like something that's a bit more lower profile, doesn't stand out too much, this is also a very good machine there.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting having this machine and then having the MVP Hydra in the background, because you can see how this one went for just like a wider base profile with a much shorter overall look, whereas the Synesso MVP Hydra is kind of the opposite. It's a little bit more slim, but it's very tall, and it's obviously makes a big statement. So in a lot of modern cafes, I think this look definitely goes really well. But yeah, in addition to the arcade buttons, there's of course the classic, controller that all Synessos have for adjusting all the settings, which is really nice. moves a ton of functionality out of the way and keeps things uncluttered until you need it.
It could be a positive or a negative, depending on, I guess, who's using it and how familiar you are with the system. But sometimes having it all consolidated here means there is a little bit of a learning curve to understand each of the menus and how to walk through all of these. Especially with this colorway, everything is black, so very sleek and very clean. So you don't see a lot of stains or anything like that from shots being pulled.
Yeah, and then the Synesso badging is on the back over here. This is usually the profile that your customers would see on your bar. Obviously, we have the pump mounted there for now, but yeah, it's very, very clean, very minimal. A lot of opportunity for customization here as well and your own branding. But overall, definitely one of the lowest profile machines that you can get on the market right now. All right, so now let's get a little bit deeper into the functionality and starting with the espresso side. So I'm actually going to make a shot end to end, so you get to see what the bar experience is like dialing in. It is really nice. You do get your standard 2 profiles that you can set, which is great for most cafes. You know, your regular main espresso and then something special, maybe for a light roast or a single origin. And these are saved on both sides, which is nice. But we're going to start off, we're just going to grind some coffee real quick. There's a couple of things you're going to notice right off the bat when we go to, let's say, like dial in a coffee. One of the things that's unique is there is nothing on here for setting the shot time. So the first thing that's going to be a question is, how do you dial in a coffee? So what's unique is once you lock in your portafilter, you're actually going to use the game controller to dial in your shot. So this is a bit unique. The MVP Hydra, you have the ability to manually pull, like start and stop a shot, and then save that profile once you like it. This one you will have to go to the menu, and I can just show you here. So your settings for dialing in a shot are actually going to be in a menu system like this. So you're going to have to set how much volume of water you want out and how much pre-infusion time. So the nice thing is you do get pre-infusion, so you can set a lower pressure, line pressure pre-infusion for any number of seconds, which is really nice. But you will then need to set the amount of counts of a flow meter. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, because obviously 341 right now for this coffee will be about 40 grams out. But you can see how when you start out, you'll need to obviously play around with it a little bit and figure out, you know, the right counts for how much you're pulling. But once you have that dialed in, activating a shot is super tactile. You do get independent boilers with temperature control, so you can get really, really good temperature stability. This is just a example shot, probably a ristretto, but you'll be able to adjust it, you know, after the fact. If you didn't like that shot from this menu, you can hit this button here and adjust the flow counts up, for example, if you want to pull a longer shot. So the nice part is, after you're done with your shot, and this is a feature I wish the MVP Hydra had, you can actually just hit this arcade button here, and it will run the pump at max for a short amount of time, just to purge off the shower screen. So this is a really nice way to, you know, once you finish your shot and you go to clean it up, that you can just purge it real quick and get all the grounds off, and then you're ready to go. Whereas for the Hydra and for most other machines, you have to start another shot, which is usually pre-infusion, which is low water flow. So yeah, nice little feature there. So in summary, the workflow is very simple and straightforward, so it'll be very easy to onboard baristas. I do love that you can have very tactile feedback in terms of starting, stopping shots, having two different options, which is what most people would need. The display and the screen is really well laid out and really clean. You have really simple tactile buttons everywhere for purging, super nice. Obviously the main downsides is flexibility, so you're not going to be able to do as many crazy profiles and shot profiles as the Hydra. And the workflow is a bit more cumbersome and technical if you're not used to it, but you will have to adjust shots on this gamepad controller, which is definitely unique and a little bit jarring for some people. But once you get used to it, it is pretty straightforward.
Now we're going to talk about the steam wands on this machine. It's actually really interesting. You see it's almost like a twist, like a turning kind of mechanism. So the cool thing about this steam wand is that you can actually switch the orientation. So depending if you're right or left-handed, so you can actually turn it this way, and then you can actually steam this way as well. So if you want to hold it, you can actually like pull it this way instead. So that is a really unique feature. I don't think I've seen any other machine do that. The other thing that's really nice about this steam wand, so a lot of our baristas have had really positive reaction or like positive experience with how laminar the steam pressure is. So it's really smooth. You do have to steam it a little bit longer. We are using a 4-hole tip instead of a 6-hole tip. So that's where you may have to adjust how long you end up steaming. But the final steam texture has been really, really consistent and really smooth. But overall, our baristas have had a really great experience steaming on this. They do have to spend a little bit more time steaming, but I don't think it's going to be significantly impacting your workflow. Some other cool features is that this is a cool touch wand, so safety is very important, so you don't get anybody burning their hands. You can also modulate the steam pressure, so you can adjust how much or how little steam, depending on maybe you're doing a cortado or if you're doing like a bigger latte, so you have a lot more fine-tuned adjustments there.
We've covered everything in terms of features and functionality, and in conclusion, I would say that this is probably one of the best entry-level machines that you can get for a specialty cafe right now. I would especially say it's great for a cafe where there's some limited space and you especially want something low where you can have, direct customer sight, or you want a big nice surface to put a lot of cups. We didn't talk about it yet, but the drip tray is removable, super easy. It actually works out really good inside a cafe for cleaning purposes. However, I will say that this is not as good in terms of mobile setups that we've had so far. We actually slightly preferred the Hydra actually over this, just because we were limited on kind of the footprint. And this one's a little bit wider, where we would have preferred something a little bit taller, a little bit more squat. So that coupled with this drip tray actually requiring the whole machine to be perfectly flat to avoid kind of like leaks. Where unfortunately for us, we're not always perfectly flat, and this drip tray has a pretty shallow connection with the bottom catch can, and it did result in some leaks, which is a little bit harder for us. Not an unsolvable problem, but could be for you or not, depending on your setup. But in terms of like hitting the major points needed for a specialty cafe, like temperature consistency, excellent volumetrics, this has all the excellent features of the higher end Synesso with a huge discount on price. And the steam wands are amazing, very flexible, but also super consistent. Definitely you can create some of the most incredible latte art in the world with it. And yeah, it's just a really great entry-level package for most cafes starting out with your very standard setup. So highly would recommend, makes great coffee.
Synesso is also based out of the United States, up in Washington. So for us, still on the West Coast, and easy enough access to get support and to get help in case there were any issues. So shout out to Synesso there. And also to Voltage, of course, if there were any issues with setup, they were also great with the support as well. Like who this machine is for, we can recommend this machine for a specialty cafe where they want to get through a lot of volume. They want to have really great steam texture. The only downside is that you don't have as much flexibility with, say, different types of profiles for shots. So if you want to have a lot of different options for espresso, this may not be the right choice for you. But say you only have maybe 1 or 2, main espressos, and you're happy with that. This is still a really great machine for that use case.
Yeah, so big shout out to Voltage for partnering with us and letting us give the new 2025 refresh, put it through the paces in some high volume environments. Yeah, it's been great to work with Synesso and Voltage in this partnership, and to give you guys a look into this machine.